All right, so you want to dive into this Lisbon thing, right?
Let's do it.
This Lisbon obsession of yours. I mean, look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
History books, foodie blogs,
Wow.
even some architecture journals.
Right.
This isn't just like a quick trip you're putting together.
Yeah.
You're really trying to understand this city.
Yeah. Lisbon, it's one of those places that it draws you in. And there's just something about that blend of like the ancient history and then this really vibrant modern energy.
Yeah, and it's all perched so dramatically on these hills.
Oh, yeah.
Overlooking that water.
The Tagus River. Yeah.
So, okay, 3,000 years old. I was blown away by that when I saw
Yeah.
that. That's, I mean, come on, that's older than some countries.
It's incredible when you think about it. And it's not just like tucked away in history books.
Yeah.
It's right there in front of you. You walk these streets and you're walking through millennia of history.
So, okay, let's break that down a little because we're talking Romans, Moors, Christians, all leaving their mark on this one city.
Right. It's layer upon layer of history.
What's the Moorish influence that we could actually see if we went there today?
Well, I mean, just look at the Alfama district.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example. Those narrow winding streets, those weren't built for cars. Those are ancient Moorish design elements meant to keep the sun out, keep the air cool, in those hot Mediterranean summers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So then you layer the Christian influence on top of that.
Exactly. And you really see that after the Christian reconquest, you see this sort of wave of churches, monasteries, often built right on top of the existing Moorish structures.
Wow.
So it's a visible reminder that, history isn't linear.
No.
It's messy.
Yeah.
It's complicated.
It's layers.
Yeah.
And then things get really interesting with the Age of Discovery, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Lisbon goes from being this ancient city to launching these explorers out into the unknown.
The setter of the world.
I mean, Vasco da Gama, you highlighted him in your note.
For good reason.
This guy sailed to India. I mean, come on.
Opened up trade routes, changed the world.
Yeah.
And, his tomb is in the Geronimos Monastery, and it really speaks to that grandeur and the importance of his voyages.
Yeah, you can almost feel that adventurous spirit still lingering in the air.
Oh, absolutely. Lisbon is a city that remembers where it came from. And that age of discovery, it's not just a chapter in a history book, it's in the DNA of the city.
Well, and you know what else I thought of when you were talking about that?
What's that?
All this research you've done on the food scene. Isn't that part of that legacy of the Age of Discovery?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, think about all those spices from the East, ingredients from Africa and South America.
Yeah.
Lisbon was the gateway for all of that.
Oh, wow.
And it infused the cuisine.
The echoes of that era are literally on our plates.
Exactly. The history you can taste.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't talk about Lisbon's history without mentioning the earthquake.
Yeah.
1755. I mean, that must have been absolutely devastating.
Utterly devastating. I mean, the earthquake, the tsunami, the fires that followed, I mean, it leveled much of Lisbon. It's really hard to overstate the impact. And, it really left a mark on the city's psyche.
Yeah, it's almost like it's woven into the identity of the city, though.
Right.
This idea of resilience.
Yeah, I mean, it's inescapable. You see it in the architecture. After the earthquake, there was this push to quickly rebuild efficiently using these new techniques.
Okay.
That's where you get that neoclassical architecture, those wide avenues, the grand plazas that you see. They were designed as fire breaks.
Wow.
To prevent future disasters from spreading.
So even in tragedy, there was this drive to rebuild, to innovate. I don't know, there's a lesson in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Lisbon is a testament to the enduring human spirit. The ability to adapt and thrive, even in the face of unimaginable hardship. And that's a story that I think resonates with everybody.
Yeah, it does. It's funny because going through all this research, you're obviously drawn to how beautiful Lisbon is.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't look at pictures of Lisbon and not think it's just this gorgeous city, but
Right.
It sounds like it's more than just a pretty face. It's not just about those postcard perfect shots.
No, it really isn't.
Yeah.
It's more about those little details, those textures, the unexpected things you discover when you're just kind of wandering around.
Like those azulejos you were talking about, those tiles?
Oh, yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, I've seen pictures, obviously, but they're one of those things you have to see in person, right?
Absolutely. And imagine, you're wandering through some little back street, you're maybe even a little lost, and you turn a corner and boom, there's this entire wall covered in these incredibly detailed blue and white tiles, each one hand-painted, and each one tells a story.
Okay, now you're just making me want to go even more.
Chuckles.
So tell me more about these stories etched in tile. What kind of stories are we talking about?
Well, I mean, it's not just decoration. These
Wow.
these tiles often depict scenes from Portuguese history, mythology, religious iconography, even just everyday life.
Okay.
And they just add this incredible richness and depth to the city. You start to see these azulejos everywhere, and you realize it's like these beautiful silent narratives woven into the walls.
Wow. So it's like the city itself is a work of art, even down to these little details.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And speaking of art, you're a big fan of Tram 28, obviously, more than just a way to get around.
Oh yeah, you marked here about experiencing the city like a local.
Hmm.
That is it, right there. Tram 28. Hop on that vintage yellow tram. You're holding on to those wooden seats as it rattles up these narrow streets, and every turn is a breathtaking view. It's incredible.
It sounds charming.
It really is.
A little different from riding the Cube in London.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
Completely different. It's visceral. You hear that tram bell clanging.
Hmm.
You smell fresh bread from the pastelerias nearby.
Right.
You catch glimpses of people's lives as you go by their windows. It's like a moving postcard.
That's a great way to put it, a sensory journey through the heart of Lisbon.
Exactly.
And I know you're a huge fan of fado music,
Oh, yeah.
and I saw you flagged a live performance in Alfama. You think there's a connection there between those trams, the azulejos, and this music that's supposed to be kind of melancholic?
That's so interesting you say that because, yeah, it does have this kind of melancholy, this longing. And they say it originated in Alfama, right? Those
Yeah.
same streets where those trams are rambling through.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that history, Lisbon's history of seafaring, the goodbyes, the uncertainty of the sea. It all just kind of seeps into the music.
Yeah, it's like you can practically hear the ocean in those notes.
And just like that tram ride, experiencing fado live in some dimly lit restaurant in Alfama, it's more than just the music,
Huh?
right? It's the candles, it's the atmosphere, it's this sense of shared history and emotion.
Wow.
It's about connecting with Lisbon on this whole other level.
You've convinced me I'm putting that on my list.
You have to.
Fado experience.
You won't regret it.
Okay, so let's talk about another thing that you clearly love, which is the food.
Chuckles.
I mean, you've got everything from Michelin star restaurants to hole-in-the-wall places.
We got to experience it all.
And you highlighted pastéis de nata. I mean, obviously, those are a given.
Yeah, they're iconic.
But I'm more of a savory person, so.
Okay, for savory, you can't go wrong with the seafoods.
Okay.
Being right on the coast. I mean,
Yeah.
it's some of the freshest you'll ever have. And you marked bacalhau à brás.
I did.
Good choice. It's a local favorite shredded cod with potatoes, eggs, olives, all mixed together in this creamy, flavorful dish.
You lost me at olives, but okay.
Chuckles.
I'm getting a theme here, though. Like, comfort food shared experiences. It's not just about eating, it's about something else, right?
Exactly. It's about slowing down, savoring every bite, enjoying the company of friends and family.
It's that vibe, that Lisbon vibe, which I want to get into because everyone talks about it, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Is it laid back, but not boring, historic, but not stuffy? I don't know, how would you describe it?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like that intriguing mix. That's what makes it so cool, right?
It's that contrast, I think, that really draws people in.
Yeah.
You've got these ancient neighborhoods like we were talking about, Alfama, right up against these modern art districts like LX Factory.
And LX Factory, that's such a great example of what we were just talking about, taking something old, giving it this new life.
Yeah, taking that industrial space and turning it into this haven
Yeah.
for artists and designers and entrepreneurs. It really speaks to Lisbon's ability to change with the times, but without forgetting where it came from.
You're right. It's like instead of erasing the past, they're incorporating it into the present and the future. And I mean, as a visitor, that's got to be so cool to see.
Oh, absolutely.
And it seems like a very walkable city, which I love. Did you get that from?
Very walkable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you marked this note about Lisbon being a city of hills and miradoros.
Yeah.
You clearly appreciate a good view.
Who doesn't?
Okay, miradoros, for those of us who don't speak Portuguese, what are we talking about?
Think like little slices of heaven perched on top of Lisbon's hills, these viewpoints, often with like a little cafe or a kiosk where you can just soak in these panoramic views of the city.
Okay, so all that hill climbing is rewarded.
Oh, yeah, it's worth it.
Beautiful views, maybe a little refreshment.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, you highlighted the Mirador de Santa Luzia, and it's popular for a reason. The views are incredible. You've got those beautiful tiles, the bougainville. It's the perfect spot to watch the sunset.
Okay, yep, it's going on the list.
Good.
I mean, it's more than just the sights, the food, the music. It's how it all comes together, right, to create this feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you even highlighted some quotes about Lisbon's light and its energy,
Yeah.
and they're onto something. It's magical, the way the sun hits the Tagus River. You've got that golden glow over everything, the sound of fado music drifting through the air as you wander through these little alleyways. It's those moments of discovery that just stay with you.
And you can't get that from a guidebook.
No, you can't. You have to be there.
No matter how much research you do, Lisbon's still going to surprise you.
Like, that's the beauty of it. It's a city that unfolds slowly. It rewards you for taking your time, getting a little lost, striking up conversations with the locals.
So what is it they say? You don't choose Lisbon. Lisbon chooses you.
Maybe there's something to that.
Well, it sounds like Lisbon has chosen you, and from everything we've talked about today, I don't think you'll be disappointed.
I'm ready.
This has been incredible. I feel like I've learned so much more than just facts about Lisbon. I feel like I've gotten a glimpse into its personality, its soul even.
That's what we aim for.
And you know what? This doesn't feel like goodbye, Lisbon. This feels like see you soon.
The best kind of goodbye.
Thanks for geeking out with me on this one. It's been so fun.
Anytime.